activities for children have moved beyond just fun and games and cater to a holistic development of the child. Better communication, cognitive functions, physical agility, emotional strength, creative imagination, and social skills are some of the key benefits to creating value based kids' learning activities. Learning through playing promotes healthy habits by actively engaging children in the world around them. These activities also engage the parents and create a positive and interactive environment. With lockdowns and imposed mobility restrictions, the very mental health of children can get affected. Creating a kid friendly environment to learn how to interact with others and develop critical lifelong skills can encourage problem solving skills as well. Sisters Anusha and Geisha, with a vision to inspire kids through art, founded the Talking Canvas in 2018. The name The Talking Canvas was coined as they were giving kids a canvas to express their creativity. Anusha is a corporate powerhouse with over a decade of management experience with companies such as TCS and Wipro. In 2018, Anusha put behind her corporate experience and plunged into the world of entrepreneurship with a vision to enhance and showcase creativity in kids. She has extensively traveled across the world on various assignments and had a steep career trajectory at the company she worked with. From a young age, art was a passion for her and she noticed the benefits art and creativity offered at the corporate workplace and the lack of. Thank you, Anusha, so much for joining us for this episode of Threading Thoughts, and we're really excited you were able to spend some time with us.
Thank you for having me here. Really looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. Anusha, I wanted to start off with asking, as a woman entrepreneur and as a new business owner, what new business processes can small businesses incorporate, other than relying on aggregators or other platforms that are available? What are some of the lessons perhaps that you learned this year that you think should be taken forward?
Yeah, I think relying on aggregators and marketplaces is great to start with, right? I mean, because it sort of gives you that confidence that your products can sell, and you're not really looking for the customers yourselves. There is already an established customer base. However, I think as you grow, you need to look at different models to work with, right? Like even when we started with the marketplaces, in fact, we used to do a lot of offline exhibitions because that used to give us direct customer feedback then and there, and it sort of gives you a lot of confidence that there is something in your product which the customers like, and then you can sort of move them back to your website or your online
True,
sales.
true.
It worked out pretty well for us in our early stages to get that kind of feedback as well as build a customer base. But however, for new customers, marketplaces and all are still important. I think you can't really not rely on it. However, for us to really expand our own customer base, it becomes important to ensure that there is good SEO, good organic marketing happening one way or the other. So I think for small businesses, being out there, putting yourself out there, is very important as an entrepreneur. And that itself gives you a lot of traction, I mean, whether it is on social media or LinkedIn. I mean, when I say social media, I mean like Facebook and Instagram and those kind of platforms.
Right.
And I think it's also important to stay relevant depending on the target audience. So for a younger customer base, like if you're targeting, 18-year-olds or 25-year-old, that age group, then maybe Instagram or, Snapchat or, whatever those right
Whichever works,
platforms.
the platform that connects with them.
Absolutely. However, Facebook is still possibly relevant for the slightly older demographic. So I think it's important to know where your customers are and then sort of figure out ways and means to get there. And it's not easy at all today because you have to look at when your digital footprint is what is being counted, right? It's so many things, right? You have to look at blogs, you have to look at what you're doing right now, podcasts or whatever, like any way that you can to reach out to your customers. So that becomes very important. And how do you continue to engage with them? That's also another very, very important thing. So you need to incorporate all of these different things into your processes. It can't be a one-off thing. You need to figure out how your mailers are going out frequently, and we are still learning a lot of these things, to be honest, because it's not easy when you're a small team to pull off every one of these aspects.
True.
So you just have to keep adding and trying to build that consistency into it, and continue to do that. So I think customer engagement, customer retention, whatever ways, right? Lead generation, all these things have to be, these are processes you have to build into your systems. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. So we recently introduced a chatbot, which is helping us on the website, right? Like getting us some leads and stuff like that. Then we are able to send them more details about the brand later. So all of these things, I think you just keep learning and you just keep adding to it.
True. I mean, it's a never-ending journey because every time you sort of think that you understand something, there's this curveball, and then you work around it, or you learn
That's,
how to manage it. And especially now that we've all sort of gone online, I think the demand
absolutely.
is more for retention, and even catching somebody's eye is quite difficult.
It's difficult. It's extremely difficult. And even if you have a great product, and people love your product, it's still very difficult to reach out to new customers, to keep adding to your customer base. And even to retain your existing customers, because even your customers are seeing more and more, right? So how many do they really buy from? So then it is difficult, but I think it also provides an opportunity. This, I think now it's easier, in fact, like you're not spending huge amounts on branding, right? I mean, I'm sure in the past, even printing a paper ad and whatever would have been much more expensive.
Absolutely.
um, yeah. So I think with the online coming in so much and people being open to it, especially after the lockdown, I think everybody saw increase in sales to a large extent. There was a
Right.
lot of pent up demand, and more people willing to buy online. So it sort of triggered that as well, that kind of increase. So for small brands to survive, if you do the right things early on and just sustain for a year or two somehow, I think it gets easier as you go along.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that is at least initially it is such a big toothing problem.
Right.
Just getting your feet wet and trying to understand the different things, because most of us don't come into any entrepreneurial activity with a huge background of entrepreneurship. It's usually this whim that gets you in, and then it's just the love for what you're doing, right? That's all
Right.
that
You
just
can
gets you.
be a dreamer, but you need to get started somewhere and then persist with it. Otherwise, it's difficult. Yes.
No, absolutely. And so, talking about the digital age, actually, so how can you keep children engaged and educated at the same time? So it's more, how do you also foresee online activities to provide a lot of adequate training? It's not just games and fun, but you want it to
Right.
be an edutainment most of the time. Is where you
Yeah.
want to go. So how do you see that happening?
Yeah, I think play-based learning is the best way to teach kids in any way, right? It's very important at a young age, and I think all of us have done it in different ways. But sometimes you don't correlate it to learning at all. There are
Right.
a lot of skills that you end up learning. Like in India, for example, when we were kids, also I'm sure that a lot of our parents didn't really want to buy us toys because it was more like it's a waste of time and effort and money and everything, right? To go get it, to give it to them, and then it just uses for a couple of times and then throw it
And
away
then
kind
it's
of thing.
just stored somewhere. Yeah.
Right. However, I think now parents are beginning to understand that it's not really just about using it and throwing it around, but there's a lot of learning that's happening through that whole play itself, right? So there is more understanding of education related toys. And so I mean, what I mean is that even if you are using a do it yourself activity kit and, painting with it and coloring with it, there's so much learning happening through that. So it's very important that more and more parents sort of know it, and there are newer parents who are now understanding the benefits of that as well. And I think online provides, I mean, it's a two-edged sword, right? So there are good things about it, of course, a lot of positives about it, and then it depends on too much of anything is a problem, right?